Hello and welcome. Today we've got Dan Lyons, and today we are going to be discussing the reason why 42% of American adults are absolutely obese. And this is what Big Pharma wants. They want us to be obese. They make money from this. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Instagram channel at nicholas.veniamin, where you can follow all my daily newsreels. Dan, thank you so much for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Well, Nicholas, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm a personal trainer, first of all. And I actually have a lot of respect for you, Nicholas, because when I was just starting to get into this Great Awakening movement, you were actually one of the first channels that I ever watched. So it's an honor to be here talking to you and talking to your audience. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for you. So thanks for having me on. And yeah, I'm a personal trainer, so I'll just kind of give you a quick rundown on me. It'll be very brief. So I've been a personal trainer for 20 years now, and I went to school for exercise physiology and health sciences, and I really kind of developed a passion for helping the middle-aged population, men and women, and also the older population too. And upon my graduation, I opened up a business, a personal training and nutrition business in Boston, Massachusetts. And that's where kind of I spent the bulk of my professional career. And then what happened was in 2016, I became kind of aware of this whole patriot movement. And I was never a political guy. And I really wanted to help humanity. And in 2016, it kind of snowballed into me wanting to help patriots. So in 2020, I made a decision to close my personal training business in Boston. And I moved to Maine, to a very rural part of Maine. And I really kind of set out to help patriots understand why they have difficulty losing weight. That's kind of the population that I wanted to work with, is patriots. So we can kind of talk about this at the end, but in this mission of helping patriots, I created an online nutrition course that kind of teaches people why they have trouble losing weight and kind of the science of that. And, there's lessons and there's quizzes and all sorts of goodies. So it's an online course. And like I said, we can talk about it at the end, but yeah, that's basically what I've been up to for the past 20 years. So.
No, very interesting. So let's talk about the science. Why are people getting fat now? People are getting fat. We know Big Pharma, their biggest profit is medicine. It's all about medicine, medicine, medicine. And the doctors that we go to when we're ill, who are diagnosing us, have not once been taught about nutrition and real health in, medicine school. Everything is medicine. So let's talk about the science behind that, please.
Yeah. So basically, in my quest to find out what was the underlying reason why Americans and people all over the world were getting more obese and slower and, brain fog and sicker and more dependent on the system, because I'm a researcher, in addition to being a personal trainer, I discovered this kind of big elephant in the room of why people have difficulty losing weight. And it's a very sneaky reason. And I can tell you right now, it's from the excess amount of polyunsaturated fats that are put in our diets. So everyone thinks it's the sugar industry, and the sugar industry does play into this. But at the very, very root cause of it, even beneath the sugar industry, is these polyunsaturated fats. And polyunsaturated fats, they're found in nature. In very, very specific doses. So algae and fish and plants and meat and everything, they have this perfect amount, the way that nature intended, this perfect amount of these polyunsaturated fats. But what happened was, a long time ago, the big corporations started harvesting certain polyunsaturated fats out of nature, concentrating them and putting it into very unsuspecting foods. So we're not talking about just junk food here. We're talking about all sorts of different food that you wouldn't even think of. So it could be food at the health store. It could be food at your local restaurant that you think is healthy, but it's not. And what these are doing, just to sum it up, it's creating what's called a lipid peroxidation reaction inside your cells and causing your cells to basically rust from the inside out. It's the same mechanism that happens to metal when metal rusts. And what happens is you have these polyunsaturated fats. They're very unstable because they're polyunsaturated. There's vacancies on the fatty acid chain, so it makes them highly reactive to other things. So when you talk about metabolism, if you eat, let's just say a cheeseburger, okay, that cheeseburger is going to have protein, carbs, and fat. And the protein, carbs, and fat need to be broken down. Metabolism is very, very complex, but overly simplified, those things need to be broken down into electrons. So electrons are at the most basic form of the food that you eat. And then those electrons need to be then used to create cellular energy. And that cellular energy happens at the most basic electron level. That's something called the electron transport chain. So just to sum it up again, you eat food, the food is broken down into electrons. The electrons then enter something called the electron transport chain, and then you create energy. And the energy is ATP. That's what it's called. It's adenosine triphosphate. It's the energy currency for your body. It's what fuels your whole body from head to toe. And what happens is this lipid peroxidation reaction that happens inside your cells destroys the electron transport chain. So you're eating food now, and your body cannot make energy properly from the food that you eat because the electron transport chain is damaged, and you end up storing the food that you eat instead of burning it for fuel. And we can go into it deeper than that if you'd like, but basically that's what's happening. And I always thought that it was, oh, sorry, Nicholas, did you have a question?
No, please, I can hold that question. Thank you.
Well, I always thought that it was hormonally driven, the reason that we're gaining weight, and it is to some degree. And I always thought, okay, our hormones change as we age. And so we're always told as we get older, we're just going to start gaining weight, and there's nothing that we can do about that. But in my discovery, over the past four to 6 years of researching this topic alone, that's not the case. That's the case maybe 10% of the time. But in reality, this lipid peroxidation reaction happening inside your cells is the reason that we continuously gain weight over the years. And it makes it difficult to lose weight too, because what ends up happening is, in addition to our electron transport chain being damaged, our ability to burn our own body fat is now damaged too. It's called beta oxidation. It's a natural pathway that your body breaks down body fat into electrons. So if your electron transport chain is broken, not functioning properly, now you can't run beta oxidation, which means that you can't burn your own body fat. So the person that's exercising on the treadmill, trying to lose body fat, trying to lose weight, they now have two things going against them. They can't make energy properly from the food that they eat, so they store that energy as body fat instead. And then in addition to that, they can't lose body fat unless they force the weight off and do something drastic. So they're exercising on a treadmill, and their ability to break down their own body fats it's just not functioning properly. So I always feel bad for people that they're in their middle-aged years, they're trying to lose weight, they're going to the gym, they have to do all these extreme things, they have to exercise every single day, and they have to watch what they eat down to, the smallest little increment just to even make a little bit of progress. And if you think of when you were in your early 20s, it wasn't that difficult to lose weight. That's because when you were in your early 20s, your metabolism was functioning properly. It takes many, many years for these polyunsaturated fats to accumulate in your cells and cause all this damage. So when you're in your early 20s, you can get away with that because your metabolism is still functioning properly. But then once you get into your late 30s, 40s, 50s, now you have to deal with this accumulation of all these polyunsaturated fats, because like I said, these polyunsaturated fats are found in nature naturally in very, very small doses. we're not meant to burn them as fuel. So we accumulate them instead in our cells. And so when we have this lipid peroxidation reaction destroying our metabolism, it basically creates this whole issue of gaining weight over the years slowly. We're unable to lose the weight. And then one thing that I didn't mention that happens is you become insulin resistant just from this happening. So the cell becomes sick when the cell can't make energy properly. And then, the cell puts up its roadblock. It does not want any more glucose, no more fats. So the cell becomes sick, the cell becomes insulin resistant. And everyone knows insulin resistance from, the topic of sugar consumption. Okay, if you abuse sugar, you become insulin resistant. Well, we're talking about insulin resistance not from sugar, but from this issue of polyunsaturated fats. And so beyond that, because that can lead to type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance right there. And beyond that, when you have this energy loss because you can't make energy properly, your cell can die. It's called apoptosis, and that can lead to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, and a slew of others. And it can also lead, when you have energy loss, the cell can actually mutate and become cancerous. So it's directly related to nuclear and mitochondrial DNA mutations, which lead to cancer. And beyond that, this whole reaction that's happening inside your cells produces a category of very toxic chemicals. We call them toxic aldehydes. And these are carcinogenic, they're mutagenic, they're thrombogenic, which means inducing clots. They're atherogenic, which means inducing heart disease. So basically what happens at first is you start to gain weight, you start to slow down, and then all these other issues can happen because of it. You can develop all these diseases of civilization, and it's from mitochondrial damage from these polyunsaturated fats having this reaction inside your cells.
Wow, it's crazy. It's like a domino effect, one thing, and then they know exactly what they're doing. They've big pharma. I think they've invested so much money in how to destroy a human's body, because they profit so much from it, and we're slaves to them. That's how it goes. So you mentioned about beta oxidation, which is responsible for breaking the body fat down in your body naturally. Mm-hmm. And if now you're saying that with the poly stuff that you were talking about, the bad electrons, that they destroy that function of beta oxidation. So can we reverse this?
We can. So that's the good news. So there's bad news first, and then it's followed by good news. So the bad news is that it takes a long time. So first of all, well, let's talk about on paper. If you were to do absolutely nothing to correct this and just stop having polyunsaturated fats, the half-life of polyunsaturated fat is about 2 years. So if you did absolutely nothing, right, and you just stopped having polyunsaturated fats, it takes 2 years for your body to clear out these polyunsaturated fats and slowly start correcting the issue. However, you can do things to speed this up, dramatically speed this up. So in my course, I go over, I think I have 10 or 12 different comprehensive tools that you can do to speed up the process. And a lot of students that I have that have taken this course, they start feeling better after the first week. They might not see weight loss after the first week, but they start telling me things like, wow, I have more energy. I have better skin tone. I can think clearer. So the benefits happen right away, but it's really about making a lifestyle change. So you could get to the point where, 6 months from now, you might have the same metabolism that you had when you were in your early 20s. I know it sounds crazy to say, because we're told that as you get older, our metabolism just slows down, and that's just it, right? We're stuck with that. But if you really try to repair your mitochondria through these specific tools that I talk about in my course, then you could regain your metabolism that you had when you were younger. You can start burning calories again and having the energy that you had when you were younger too.
Wow, interesting.
So, but to answer your question, I can't say like exactly 4 weeks from now you will feel this way. It's different in every person because everyone has a different amount of accumulation of these polyunsaturated fats. And the point is that you start to detox as soon as you can.
So can I still, if I was to cut out the polyunsaturated fats, you're saying that I can restore the function of the beta oxidation in my body that is responsible for burning body fat since the way I was when I was in my 20s, correct?
Yes,
So,
because yes.
So what once I get to that level, will I be able to have whatever? Can I eat whatever I want? Not whatever I want, but would I have to count the calories?
No, no. So here's the thing, right? I can't just say, oh, look on the back of a label for polyunsaturated fats. They're not included in labels, so it's very difficult to know. That's why I had to make a course on this.
Okay.
But if you do the things that I teach in the course, and you fix your electron transport chain, then naturally your beta oxidation can function properly again, and you can start breaking down body fats into usable energy again, which is what you could do when you were in your early 20s and in your early 30s. So again, just think of how easy it was to lose weight when you were that young, right? You didn't have to do much. You just stay away from, ice cream, and all of a sudden you drop weight. That's the way that metabolism is supposed to function. It doesn't function that way in someone that's sick, though. And we all have varying degrees of cells that are not functioning properly. And it happens very, very, very slowly. So, and as humans, we just kind of adapt to whatever we're used to. So, but to answer your question, yes.
I'm a healthy eater. I try to be healthy. And when I go out to eat in a restaurant, when I'm healthy, I go for a salmon fillet or a chicken breast. Are there polyunsaturated fats in those items too?
Yes. Yes. Most likely, yes. So salmon, by nature, if you catch a salmon from the ocean, yes, there's a small amount of polyunsaturated fats. There's multiple types of polyunsaturated fats in a salmon. They're in the correct balance, the way that nature intended. But if you go to a restaurant and have salmon, they usually fed corn. Okay. And corn is extremely high in linoleic acid, which is a type of polyunsaturated fat, because it's very, very cheap to feed salmon corn. And you eat that corn. I mean, you eat that salmon and you're eating all of that linoleic acid, which is a polyunsaturated fat. Now you get like an absurd amount of polyunsaturated fat in the salmon that you think is healthy. And the same with chicken too. A lot of chicken is fed grain. Grain is extremely high in linoleic acid, which again is a polyunsaturated fat. So you eat chicken that you think is healthy, and it's actually 20 times the amount of linoleic acid that it should be. So a chicken should be out eating worms and bugs and vegetation. A chicken shouldn't be fed grain for its entire life because, for example, that chicken builds up all that linoleic acid inside their cells the same way that we do, like I was just talking about. So when we eat chicken, we're eating all of that linoleic acid because that chicken has accumulated these polyunsaturated fats in their cells the same way that I just described that humans do.
Got it. So
yeah. No, go ahead.
So I was going to say, if I follow your course, or when I follow your course and I cut out the polyunsaturated fats in my food, how restricted will my diet be moving forward? Will it be difficult for me to go out and socialize?
Hmm. There's many different ways to look at that question. So once you take the course and you become aware of what to look for, then you can make changes in your daily life. And if you think about it, how many meals would you actually go out to eat with during the whole week, the whole span of the 7 days during the week? Maybe 10% of the time you're going out to eat. Well, maybe the other 90% of the time you're making choices that are much healthier, that are helping you detox from these polyunsaturated fats. So then when you go out to eat, maybe you can relax a little bit and not necessarily eat whatever you want, because if you eat fried food and just junk, you're not going to feel well the next day. So that's kind of the thing, is it's in regards to being restrictive, it's not very restrictive because you can still go out. Mm-hmm. But this is a lifestyle change also.
Can I make a pizza without polyunsaturated fats in it?
You could get creative. Yes, you could.
The reason why I'm asking is because if Big Pharma knows what they're doing, they're hacking into our, metabolism, they profit from it. And we see people in the 1920s and 30s walking around really slim, then, why can't we have food in restaurants if we lived in an honest, good society where the government cared about us, Big Pharma cared about us, and we could have all the food we want and master everything while we don't have any polyunsaturated fats in it? Do you think that could be a possibility in the future?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's going to take an uprising of us taking back the restaurant industry, and big food, because even McDonald's, McDonald's used to cook their French fries in beef tallow, and beef tallow is one of the healthiest fats that you can have, right? But they switched to soybean oil, which is one of the most unhealthy fats that you could possibly have. It's loaded with these polyunsaturated fats that cause these issues. So a long time ago, McDonald's actually used to be kind of a healthy choice, believe it or not.
That's crazy.
But yeah, no, I think if all of us kind of are aware of this information and they share it with their friends and family, it's going to hopefully start kind of an uprising in big food, and it's going to help us kind of take back the way that it used to be, to answer your question. So
absolutely. Well, Dan Lyons, thank you so much for sharing everything today. I really appreciate it. I will leave a link below when you send it over to me so people can have access to your course. So thank you very, very much. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Well, yeah, no, like I said, Nicholas, your show is great, and it's a pleasure to be here. I always used to watch your show. I still do. And it's just such an honor to talk to you and talk to your audience. And I would say that, if you're someone that tries to eat healthy, it doesn't go far enough. You need to be aware of these specific things that big food is putting in our foods. And if you go shopping at the health store, you might still be making bad choices because, for example, do you have Whole Foods where you are?
We do. Yeah, we do.
So Whole Foods has a contract with Appeal, which is basically a company that they spray their fruits and vegetables with seed oils, and seed oils have a very, very, very high amount of linoleic acid, a polyunsaturated fat. So they do that to preserve the shelf life of fruits and vegetables. And you go to Whole Foods thinking that you're eating healthy, but you're eating all this linoleic acid that shouldn't be on these fruits and vegetables. And it's just making your situation worse. So if I were to just leave you with one thing, I would just say that, we as patriots, we've been very, very focused on protecting our wealth, protecting the Second Amendment, protecting our freedom of speech, but we haven't really even thought too much about protecting our metabolism, protecting our bodies, breaking out of the globalist system of food consumption. So again, it's just been a pleasure to be here, Nicholas, and it's been an honor. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Dan. Thank you so much, and we'll speak again very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.